Here we go. How you doing, Bucs fans? Everybody okay? Has everybody calmed down? You're off the bridges. You've taken your Valium. You've done whatever you need to do. Everybody's okay. We're all here. We're all together. Kumbaya. Let's all get through. This is what it feels like to not win a game, guys. We'll get through it. It's gonna happen. It's just one day. It's just one game. One thing I want to point out that I think is interesting, guys, is everybody's talking about, we may have a shot to go back and, play in that stadium again later this year in the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers, and this is kind of a weird little observation, but the Buccaneers might play in that stadium 3 times this year. Not twice, but 3 times this year. They played there once already. If we have to go back, keep in mind the Rams have the tiebreaker against the Bucs now. So if we have to go back and play them in the playoffs or in the NFC Championship game, whatever, it's going to be in that stadium. And then if we make it through the playoffs, then guess what? Back again. So we could actually play in SoFi Stadium 3 times this year. That's a crazy amount of times. That's a lot of times to be playing in a stadium that's not your own. It's kind of weird. I mean, that's almost half as many games as they'd be playing in Tampa with 8. So it's kind of that's a weird little stat observation, whatever. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Buc AF. Welcome to Buc AF. You know what the F stands for. But listen, guys, we're ready to have fun. Let's have fun. We're going to have the enemy. We're going to bring some frenemies in here. We're going to talk a little smack about the game, have a good time. We got some New England folk coming in here, and it's going to be interesting because it's not just a New England guy. It's a New England guy with a twist, and you guys will see what I am talking about when Mr. John Gray comes in a little bit later in the show. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. And you guys will hear, you'll hear. It's going to be fun. So you don't want to miss that. I promise you guys, you do not want to miss that. Hello to everybody in chat that is talking. Hello to Bucs Skull Gang. Hello to Carrie. How you guys doing? William, Justice, and Julius. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody good? Everybody good? Your tummy's full? You ready to go? You ready to have a nice night talking some Bucs football? I am ready. I'm excited. I'm happy. It's good. It's okay. It's okay, everybody. We're all right. We're 2-1. We're 1 game back, but let's go. Let's LFG, baby. Let's get through this. Now, there's all kinds of stuff to talk about. Everybody asking, is there a Richard Sherman update? Is there a Richard Sherman update? Is there a Richard Sherman update? Here's your answer. Here is your answer, folks. To all of you, I've been watching all the posts all day. You guys have seen them all. Facebook has been full of these posts. Facebook's usually full of it. Facebook has been full of these posts. Richard Sherman came in earlier today. He's visiting with the Bucs today. I saw a picture of Richard Sherman leaning against a counter at an airport. People saying he's in town, showing a picture of Richard Sherman supposedly at the airport in Tampa. We're seeing all of these updates, Richard Sherman updates on he is in town, how exciting it's been all day. Richard Sherman's in town. He wasn't. No, he was not. Richard Sherman is coming to town this evening. Okay, he may be in town now, but he did not get in town until just recently, like maybe he's just arriving or got here just an hour or so ago. But all day long, all those posts, all you people who were like, I saw Richard Sherman, all of you people who posting pictures of Richard Sherman at the airport. Yeah, not. Come on, guys. Just wait. Simmer down. We're going to find out quickly enough. This is all going to work itself out. Look, some of the blue check marks on Twitter are saying it's all but a done deal. Who knows? Nothing official. Nobody is saying anything officially. So, some of the blue check marks are saying it's done, or it's all but done. Some of the other that I rely on or I trust more aren't saying a thing. So I'll stick with them. But you never know. Let's see what happens coming up. We will see. But I know you guys want to talk about Richard Sherman. I know that, and we will have time later in the show to talk about it. But the one thing I want to point out, how weird is it? If you would have told, I mean, I'm old now. I'm 55. But if you had told 40-year-old me that this team is going to have, or 45-year-old me, that this team would have JPP and Ndamukong Suh, Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Richard Sherman. I mean, that's just silliness. That's just silliness. If you had told me that then, I would have just told you crack kills, man. Lay off the crack. But, look, we're here. It's our team. We'll be fine. I'm really confident about that. Updates on some injuries and things like that. Let's talk about it. Jamel Dean, he is week to week. That is good news because originally they thought it could be more serious, but apparently it's week. He is week to week. Don't expect him this week, but the fact of the matter is he's not gone for, he's not gone for the better part of the season. That is good news. Still no update on Sean Murphy-Bunting. That's kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have heard something about what's going on with him. Giovanni Bernard has a slight MCL sprain. He is listed as day-to-day. Don't know anything about whether he's going to play this week or not. He is listed as day-to-day. Scotty Miller has a apparently pretty severe or serious turf toe injury. He is going to be, and I quote, out for an extended or a significant, quote, period of time. That is according to Adam Schefter, which was agreed with or retweeted by Pelissaro and several others. Tom Pelissaro. Anyway, Scotty Miller's gone for a while. I know he's kind of like a favorite of a lot of fans, but guys, we do have Jalen Darden. He's kind of like Scotty Miller, and needs the work because he's a rookie. You saw Tyler Johnson step up last week in the absence of AB. AB tweeted out tonight, back to business. So he is apparently, I guess, AB. He's rumored to be back probably tomorrow, but that's rumor. Again, no, the Bucs haven't come out and officially said that, but AB said, all right, back to business. Gronk said he will play this week. That's good news. So we will have Gronk. No JPP update. I think it's funny. Apparently last night, TampaBay.com had this breaking news. The breaking news is JPP might not play this week. Tampa Bay Times. Thank you for breaking the news, telling us absolutely nothing. You basically said, we don't know. Well, thanks for taking up pixels and filling up a little space on your website to tell us JPP might or might not play. We were aware of that. So I think that's all the news that I think you guys want updates on. I think that pretty much covers most of it. That's a lot of news, guys. It was a big news day. There was all kinds of stuff coming out. But just to be clear, for the sake of clarity, Richard Sherman is just now getting to Tampa. He hasn't been here all day long. It has not been like everybody's making it sound like he's been here. He's been at the airport. He's been, just stop it. Stop it. All right. Simmer down. We'll find out quickly enough. Let's bring in my partner in crime on the post-game show after every Bucs game. This guy joins me and we get into all kinds of shenanigans. Let's bring David Whitescarver into the house. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, I saw Richard Sherman at a Wawa on Dale Mabry. Regular was $2.94 a gallon. I said, "What's up, Sherm?" He did that. I'm like, I got a good feeling about all this.
Nice. Very nice. Gas was $2.94, huh?
294 regular.
Awesome.
Cash
Awesome.
or credit. You don't get
Wait,
that all of the
hold
time
on.
anymore.
Hold on. I'm getting an update. Richard Sherman has just been sighted at Mons Venus. So he's been at the airport. He's been at Wawa. He's also apparently been at Mons Venus. Grabbing a burger. I don't care if they serve them or not. Anyway. That's Richard Sherman. Everybody, let's talk about Richard Sherman real quick here. Dave, my thoughts about Richard Sherman are this. Richard Sherman is not the old Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman he's a nice little, let's call it a depth piece. He's got experience. Would you rather have Richard Sherman out there or D. Delaney, an undrafted, player from a couple of years ago who's been on like 5-6 teams? I'd rather have Richard Sherman out there with at least some experience. What's he got left in the tank, Dave?
That's the question. What does he have left in the tank? I mean, there's a reason why he hasn't signed with anyone up to this point. So you got to trust the evaluation of the Bucs to find out what does he have left in the tank. Take a look at your roster and then say, hey, if he's better, sign him, because we're in win mode, obviously. So if he's better than what we got, fine. If not, then we pass. It just depends. But it all comes down to that talent evaluation of where he's at right now. Because he's not going to be in football shape. You can't be in football shape without playing football.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I think wait, what? Okay, Richard Sherman has just been spotted at the original Hooters in Clearwater. Okay, Richard Sherman is at the Hooters in Clearwater, the original Hooters in Clearwater. I'm hearing. Thank you, Facebook. You are so awesome. Guys, my take on Richard Sherman is he's better than D. Delaney, and that's really all I know. Okay. I'd rather have him out there just based on he's going to know where to be on the field. Now, anybody who thinks Richard Sherman is going to step into practice and hit the field immediately and be the Richard Sherman of old, no, he's not. No, he's not. Okay. Richard Sherman is not going to show up this Sunday. The old Richard Sherman from the Seahawks, the chances of him showing up this Sunday are not very big. If Richard Sherman signs, let me say that again, everybody. If Richard Sherman signs, let's be clear, he has not signed. Okay, he's just getting to Tampa. He hasn't even had a physical yet. He hasn't even done all of that. Contrary to what everybody has been hearing all day long. And I want to make sure you all know this. He's not even getting into town until tonight. All right. So if Richard Sherman passes the physical, if they believe he can perform, if they believe mentally he's ready for that, then okay. One thing I do trust in, I trust in Jason Light to make the right call. He's proven that time and time again. Tom Brady, something very funny. Tom Brady today, I guess Tom Brady has on XM some sort of a new podcast. Sorry. Some sort of a new podcast. And Jim Gray and someone else, and I'm sure the dude will come on and clarify this, but I believe that Tom Brady today basically gave a statement, and I'm going to read to you the statement given by Tom Brady on this. This is his official statement. For those who have not heard, his father came out and basically said that this is emotionally going to be a big game for Tom Brady, and this is going to be a big deal, etc. So let me read to you his exact quote, if I can dig it up here quickly enough. Unfortunately, it's taking me a second. Here we go. I've actually prepared a statement that I want to say. And it's really all that I have to say on the subject. Comments made by Thomas Edward Brady, Comments made by Thomas Edward Brady, a 77-year-old insurance company CEO who should know better at this point in his life, don't necessarily reflect the views or positions held by his son, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So, furthermore, should Tom Sr. continue to speak out on behalf of his son without the expressed written consent, Jr. reserves the right to eventually put him in a home against his will. That's all I have to say. So that is Tom Brady once again with the perfect pass, perfect response, perfect whatever you want to call it. That is Tom Brady once again hitting his marks and handling a situation perfectly, as he just seems to always do.
And he got you talking about it.
And he got me talking about it, and me talking about his brand new podcast and blah, blah, blah. So,
and not talking about him versus Belichick and all that stuff.
Well, that's coming. Don't worry. It's a long night. We've got plenty of time for that. And like I said, we've got in about 10 minutes or so, we have a friend of me coming into the show. And I'm looking forward to that. Mr. John Gray. And just wait till you see what John Gray. He's not just a Patriots fan, guys. You just want to be here for this. It's going to be interesting. Hold on. Breaking news. Richard Sherman has been spotted at the Lucky Dill in Palm Harbor. I'm hearing he's at the Lucky Dill in Palm Harbor, getting what is this? He's getting a pastrami and a cream soda. Okay. So there we go. Wanted you to hear that.
It's amazing how one man gets around Tampa like that. He doesn't even know the place.
I know. Well, there's why not? Right? Why not?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're Mac Jones, are you sleeping well this week?
Sure, you're making millions of dollars. You're the New England Patriots quarterback. Sure. You're sleeping. Let me put it this way: you're sleeping better than some of the quarterbacks who are just getting the crap kicked out of them. If the Bucs defensive line was playing better, and if they were getting pressure on the quarterback, maybe then he'd be losing some sleep. But with the way the Bucs have been lacking pressure, I'm not sure he's losing any sleep.
He's coming off a 3-interception game, and the Bucs have a point to prove.
Well, and I hope that's how it I hope that's how it comes down. I really do hope that's how it goes down. That's the way we would certainly love for it to go down. But
I don't think he's going to watch a replay of this most recent Super Bowl.
Well, my take on it. Look, I think the Bucs are going to be mad. I think there's going to be some points to prove. I think they probably gotten their backside chewed out. I think they've probably had a rough week. Let's be honest. Some days go better than others. This has probably been a rough week for them. I don't know. I would not have wanted to be there with BA, who, by the way, am I crazy, or is BA just letting the F bombs and S bombs and everything else? Have they just taken all the reins off of him and just said, go say whatever you want, buddy? Because he's about as colorful as any coach I've ever heard ever. He's just cutting loose in his press conferences. He's not holding back. It's funny to me. I mean, he just lets it rip. He really does. He just lets it go. I think it's, hold on. Richard Sherman is now at the Pierogi Grill on Gulf to Bay. Richard Sherman is now at the Pierogi Grill on Gulf to Bay. So
he seems to be very hungry.
Well, people have him everywhere. Why not? Why not? I promise you this. I know the next place he's going. He is going to the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. Just to get everybody ready and hyped up for the pregame this week. I'm assuming that's a good sign. So, as people on Facebook would say, I have sources who tell me Richard Sherman is going to sign. Dude, you have sources. You have Twitter, and you've followed Gren and Tom Pelissaro and Adam Schefter. Those are your sources, dude. You don't have sources. Don't stop. Just stop with the I've got sources. Well, my uncle, he knows the groundskeeper at Raymond James, and the groundskeeper told him. I mean, guys, you don't have sources. It's just not that easy. The guys who have sources, listen to them. And when you are on Facebook and you see somebody say Richard Sherman is cited at the airport, if it's not coming from one of the blue check marks on Twitter, you probably don't want to listen to it. If it's coming from some of those blue check marks on Twitter, you still don't want to listen to it. All right, listen to people like Greg Allman. Listen to people like Tom Pelissaro. Listen to people like Adam Schefter. Those are the people that you can rely on the information as it comes out. That's the kind of thing you want to do. All right. It's very, very important. I just heard Dave did ask Sherman if signed with Bucs. I don't know what that means or what language that is. Bucs Skull Gang.
Well, I didn't want to intrude when I was at Wawa. I wanted to give him a space. I didn't want him to feel overwhelmed.
Rick, ask Dave Sherman coming signed Bucs. Rick, ask Dave Sherman coming signed Bucs.
Someone did ask about Bucs and Bucs running backs in fantasy football. I just have one couple of comments to make real quick. The New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3, their starting quarterbacks were the leading rushers. That should be all you need to know.
On both teams?
Both teams. So week 4 is going to be a battle of the quarterback being the leading rusher from week 3.
That is terrible news for you and me, Dave, because that means the game's going to go until like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we have to do a post-game show that no one's going to be awake for.
I'm ready, and I'm not even tired.
You're not tired now. Okay,
I'm trying to save up for later.
Winifred says, I have one question. Are my defense getting back in the game this Sunday, and how AB doing? Winifred, AB, according to AB said back to work, back to business. Okay, so AB has declared himself as getting back to business. Nothing official from the team, but AB did post that a little bit earlier today.
Because he has to have.
As far as is the defense getting back in this game, they sure as F better. They absolutely had better. If the defense does not show up for this game, there are big problems. There are big problems. Bucs Skull Gang says, is there a chance the Bucs trade for Gilmore? Listen, here's what I've learned about this Bucs team. I'm not putting anything past anything. But I mean, there's a certain amount of just randomness that we come up with sometimes. Is there any chance the Buccaneers are going to trade for Tyreek Hill? I mean, people just throw names out, and a lot of times it's the same sort of thing as if there's a name that's recognizable, you remember them at the peak of their career. Like people who are saying, we want Adrian Peterson here because our running game is struggling. Guys, what's the last year Adrian Peterson didn't struggle? All right. So when you're thinking, let's get AP here to to stop the running game from struggling, ask yourself, what is the last year? And I want you to be honest with yourself. What is the last year that AP didn't struggle? Now, he's done far better than you would expect for his age. He's done pretty darn good, but he really has not done better than the guys that are back there. So when we get all excited, oh, AP, we want to get AP, we want to get AP. Adrian Peterson, bring him in here. It's because you know the name, because he had those years. And you're thinking he's gonna come here and all of a sudden flash back to greatness. Okay? Listen, nobody who's here went back to greatness other than Antonio Brown, who never wasn't great. I mean, whenever he played, he's been great. All right. Tom Brady just has always been great. These aren't people who become average for years and then all of a sudden come back and bam, they're great again. So understand this when it comes to Richard Sherman, guys. You're not getting the Richard Sherman of old. AP is not the AP of old. Understand, it's just these are guys that are they're well-worn tires without that much tread left. And you've got to understand that. You've got to understand that. Dave, any thoughts about Adrian Peterson?
I would stay clear of that. One thing that just went through my mind is like, has there been a Keyshawn Vaughn sighting? We kind of discussed this before the season started. It's like he's not far from being out of the league. I mean, you're talking about Adrian Peterson with as much wear as he has on his tires, and you don't even hear a whiff about Keyshawn Vaughn.
That's a great point. Yeah, where is Keyshawn Vaughn? Paging Keyshawn Vaughn.
But yeah. Josh Gordon signed with the Chiefs.
A great example. Really, Josh Gordon, when was the last time Josh Gordon did anything? When was the last time Josh Gordon was really good? It's just shuffling anybody in. It's like, oh, I know that name. Bring him in. That'll sell some tickets. I mean, let's be honest. That's what's happening. Okay. That is really what we're facing. I don't know. It it is what it is. It is what it is. Any moment now, John Gray will be coming on. I'm hoping that he will pop in here in a moment or two. I'm interested in several factors about this game, and we will talk about a lot of this after. Dave, if you want to hang around, I'll bring you back on after these guys.
Let me check my schedule. I think that might work.
Okay.
I don't have to go to Wawa. I already went this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, he's no longer at Wawa. From what I hear, he's at the Waffle House on West Shore. So
it's a fine Waffle House.
Yes, it is. Yeah, guys, I'm you know what, Dave, let me put you in the lobby and let me bring on our guest. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's bring on our guest, special guest. I'm very excited to have him here. I have actually known John for quite a few years. That's assuming he remembers me, but he might not. How you doing tonight, John?
How about yourselves?
Doing great. Let me tell you all about John. John is a Patriots. Let me say that again. He is the creator and head of the Tom Brady and Gronk Tampa Bay Fan Club of Atlanta.
Shall I explain?
Abso-freaking-lutely, my friend.
Well, many of our diehard Patriot fans are still fans of Tom Brady since we cheered him for 20 years and Gronk for over 10. So many of us are still watching Gronk and Brady, perform their magic and win games and still celebrate and cheer for them. So what I did, because you still have some people among our 3,000 members in the Atlanta Patriots fan club who just want to keep that Patriots only. So what I did was create a separate group for those who still want to cheer on Tom and Gronk. So that's the explanation for it.
Okay, now I want to point out something, okay? And
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know how aware you are of this, but there's let's call it a divide amongst
Yes.
Bucs fans. Okay,
Yes,
where
sir.
Bucs fans get mad and say they don't like these brand new Patriots fans who are jumping on the bandwagon. But I
Yeah.
personally believe awesome. That sells more jerseys, brings more revenue to the team. It's good for the team. The more the merrier. Come on in.
Yep.
I mean, do you run into pushback at all?
Not really, since we're happy to many of us we're happy that Tampa is able to enjoy and thrive with Tom, because he was not going to be able to do that in New England, because Belichick, in his stubbornness and foolishness, did not provide Tom for many years the weapons to excel.
Right.
So Tampa provided, it was a win-win situation. I don't blame him for leaving. I would have left too. You're willing to give him decent money, and more importantly, the weapons for him to succeed. So it was a perfect situation.
It's amazing for me as a Buccaneers fan, though, when I hear somebody say, oh, yeah, they didn't give Tom Brady the weapons that he needed, and you won 6 Super Bowls. So,
well, yeah,
that's an amazing thing to say.
Well, it's if you look at those teams and the weapons he had, it was, especially the last 3, it was more Tom than Bill and the weapons he provided. I mean, Chris Hogan's your wide receiver. Do you want to trade Evans for him? No. Malcolm Mitchell lasted a year. He had a fragile knee. Who are you? Which I'd take any of the Tampa wide receivers over Mitchell. Now Edelman was good, but not first round talent. He developed into someone who was very good, but Tom was just gonna, he was not gonna win Super Bowls. Lucky to win playoff games if he stayed in New England. So, we all think very highly of Tom. Very grateful for Tom. The closest thing I could equate it to is, and I'm not a father, but you develop a child for 18 years, and now it's time for him to excel and leave the nest. And, it's like, okay, you enjoyed 18 years with him. Son, it's time to go to college or military or get married, or your daughter, it's time for someone else and move on and enjoy your life. You're not going to get any further here. And most of us would have hated to see that, where his last year especially, we knew they were not going to thrive. And we feel bad for Cam Newton. Many of us, some of them still want Cam Newton, but Cam Newton came and he did not have the weapons to succeed. Granted, right. I don't think he could have anywhere. Nice guy, met him a couple times. But it's it's like, hey, Tom left because he didn't have the weapons, could not be able to perform well. So he saw an opportunity in Tampa, and the only other place I think he could have succeeded is maybe Dallas, that had similar type weapons, but Tampa was a perfect landing place, a win-win situation for the franchise and him. And he seems much happier, as well as Gronk. He's able to attract the weapons. Hopefully you're able to bring in that cornerback whose name escapes me from the 49ers, Sherman.
Yeah.
You could tighten up the cornerbacks. Yeah. I mean, hell, if not Sherman, maybe you can get Gilmore from the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, granted, maybe, I'm rooting more than most, but I'm happy for him, and hopefully you can get a second or third ring with him.
Well, now my question is that one thing that I've asked every week when I bring on a fan from the other team,
I
always ask, are the Buccaneers the kind of team that you hate, and you've already answered that, very clearly that no, you don't hate them. You like the guys, so
Yeah, I appreciate them.
yeah, okay. I mean, because you know how some teams are hateable. I mean, there are.
Jets, Giants, Cowboys. There's plenty of them.
Yeah. But that's sort of where I wanted to go with it. Now, I mean, what do you see happening in the game this week? What are your predictions for the game this week? What you and I talked about it a little bit earlier. You caught me off guard with your response. What do you think?
I mean, New England's struggling. Maybe Belichick and they've been practicing against each other for 20 years. Brady knows what Belichick's going to do to him, which is probably pressure up the middle, force him to throw on the outsides. That a couple teams have done that and been successful in the past, but fortunately, Tampa just has too many weapons. I mean, and New England's defense is rather slow. They're not good against the run this year. Their secondary without Gilmore
we don't
and
run
others
the ball.
is beat up.
We don't run the ball. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Right.
Dave, who was on here just a little bit ago, brought up the fact that last week your leading rusher was your quarterback, and last week our leading rusher was the quarterback.
Oh,
Tom Brady was our leading rusher last week.
How many yards was that?
16. Let that sink in. Yeah.
That's and you get, but if forced to, I mean, you have Fournette, you got Jones, you have the weapons to do it if forced to do it and burn up clock. So
right.
I really, it depends on your defense. I mean, I do like Mac Jones. I think he's got a good arm. Yeah. I don't think the Tampa defense can necessarily sleep on them, but our tight ends have done nothing unless they've been in hibernation for this game. Our best receiving running back just got hurt. We haven't been able to run the ball consistently. Our offensive line is beat up. Our wide receivers, I mean, they paid top dollar for third-tier wide receivers in Aguilar and some, other guy born from San Francisco.
Right.
I mean, why are you paying Rolls-Royce prices for a Chevy?
Right.
Makes no sense. So, but they were so desperate and had the money that, Belichick decided to do that, and they're getting nothing out of it. The guys are getting no separation. So I know Tampa's beat up in the secondary a little bit, but if you can't compete with the Patriots wide receiver, then you're in real trouble. So I see Tampa just wiping the floor with New England, classic like 2007 Patriots with Moss. I mean, they should really beat them.
What's funny is I feel like
13.
I feel like I need to normally what I do is tell the person on with me, do a little trash talking, and then I do a little trash talking for the Bucs. But I feel like I need to do a little. You just did the trash talking for your team. Let me tell you something. Okay, let's do this backwards. We cannot run the ball, or we just absolutely refuse to run the ball. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the great thing with Tom Brady. His short passing game is running the ball.
Well, okay. But you've got to be able to do something deep. And I mean,
little bit.
When I say our cornerbacks have been horrific, we're getting no pass rush.
Right.
And I mean, the one thing you're not going to do, I don't care whether you've got your starting running back in or not, you're not going to be able to run the ball on us. But man, this is going to be an interesting game. This is funny because we're kind of reversing roles, but I was excited about you coming on here for that very reason, because it was an interesting twist to hear a Patriots fan that is flat out, unabashedly saying, hey, I'm a Gronk and Tom Brady fan. And I appreciate the fact that you're that straightforward, that open, that we'll call it out of the closet as a Patriots fan.
Oh my.
You're just straight out saying, I'm rooting for these guys, and that's pretty awesome.
But I'm also realistic. I want the Patriots to have a good game.
Sure.
Hopefully it's competitive.
Yeah.
But I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, I'm torn. So I wanted Tom to go undefeated this year. That would be the crowning achievement to his
Right.
career. Obviously, that didn't happen. So in this case, would I like the Patriots to win? Of course. But if they don't, in a way, I want Brady to just embarrass Belichick and further
Wow.
emphasize the fact it was Tom over Belichick.
Wow. John, thank you for coming on, my friend. You were
My great
fantastic.
pleasure. I'm sorry to disappoint you that I didn't have trash for you.
This was not disappointing. This was fantastic. It's different. This is absolutely fantastic. And I was very excited when I read your bio, when I read, your explanation of how to, of you and with Tom and Gronk, and I was excited about this, and you did not disappoint at all. Thank you, my friend, for being here.
My pleasure. Otherwise, if you want some trash talk, I told hopefully you and Raphael could hook up.
Yeah.
He's very good at the trash talk. I don't know what I think he's more just straight on Patriot fan, not as much with the Brady as I am. For whatever reason, that's fine. We're all individuals.
Yeah.
He's still a huge Cam fan over Mac Jones, which that's a whole nother discussion. Glad to go in with you on that. Bottom line, for Cam to get the stay in New England, he needed to beat Mac Jones severely to get the
Right.
job.
Sure.
Otherwise, it made no sense for him to be the starter, because if he had a great year, he's an unrestricted free agent. If he slugs along, goes 10-7, you just lost a year of development for Mac Jones. So there was no point, unless Cam clearly dominated Mac Jones, to keep him. The only thing Cam could have done as a preemptive measure is go up to Belichick, say, listen, I'm going to give you two very friendly team options to re-sign me if I do well.
Right.
1 year, $10 million for 2 years at your discretion, so that if I do very well, you could keep me. And that was the key. Bill likes control, which is why
I was going to say that wasn't going to happen. Right.
Yeah. And Tampa, fortunately, they're like, oh, you're willing to come? What do you want? It's yours. You want Gronk? It's yours.
Yep.
What else do you want? It's yours. And with Belichick, it was, you want your personal trainer to help you perform better. Well, you can go in the upstairs closet, and he's not allowed on the airplane.
Right.
It made no freaking sense. It's just absurd. But
yeah,
feel free anytime.
You got it.
Post-game, what have you. Glad to help you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, John.
Go Brady.
Go Brady. Okay. That was not expected. And now I'm going to bring in someone else here.
Wow. That was cool.
That was very cool.
What a surprise. What a shock.
Yeah.
I've known John for years. I guess it shouldn't have surprised me. It shouldn't have shocked me. It's a class act. And for those who don't know, I mean, just because he's saying that they're going to lose, he is really one of the most diehard fans of any team you'll ever meet.
Yeah, that's what caught me so off guard when I talked to him about this. It was like, holy cow, what did you just say? And I was like, wow, that was interesting.
Yeah, look, we've all met fans of teams that are really bad, that really suck at times. I mean, we go through those.
We've been the fans of teams that suck at times. What are you talking about?
Exactly. And still just total jerks, total assholes of, we're the best, you suck, we're going to kick your butt. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, save it for... yeah, that was refreshing.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I when I first talked to him, because you want things to be a little different. You want something a little bit different, and I was just very excited to have him come on and explain that and talk about that, especially seeing as how so many people get so mad about someone from another team. I mean, like fans from other teams coming in, oh wow, why now you're just jumping on the bandwagon. And you know how you and I feel about that.
Yeah. Come on, I
Come
got
on,
room.
baby.
Come on, the seat is open to me right next to me.
Exactly.
You may not even know how to spell football, or you spell Buccaneers with too many N's.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could care less. Come on, join me.
Hey, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to bring a third person in here. I'm going to bring Dave back in, if that's okay with you.
Dave back in.
Let's bring Dave. Dave, how you doing?
Hey, I had a new life experience when John was on. I never thought I would experience this in my entire life. You know what it was?
What's that?
I had compassion for a Patriots fan. This is going to mess with my head for days. I'm going to have to sit there and I'm going to wake up in the middle of a night in a cold sweat going, I had compassion for a Patriot fan. What has happened to me? Yeah. But when John was there just pouring his heart out about how bad they are, I was like, man,
oh, no,
that's the first time in my life that's ever happened.
Oh, no. I don't hate him.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
His love for Brady and Gronk, I mean, that's also, I love how he tied it in. It's like for 18 years, right? Finally let him loose. That just, you can't hate on him at that point. And I get that. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Right now, let's say Brady wins 2 or 3 Super Bowls in Tampa. And then they decide Kyle Trask is really good and they want to develop it. They want to get him on the field. So they say to Brady, all right, Tom, we've got something here that we've got to start to use. We think he's going to be amazing. We wish you nothing but the best. Take care. And Tom goes to, who cares where? I don't care. One of the LA teams, Las Vegas. I don't care, wherever. You're going to still hope Brady does good because of what he did. And because, it's not, it didn't end on bad terms with the fans. That's the key, is it didn't end up on bad terms with the fans. Now there's a difference here. And you can end up on bad terms with a team and not end up on bad terms with the fans. And I think that's what happened. I think that, look, I should have asked him that the question of how is he going to be greeted? How is Brady going to be greeted and treated this week? And I think that John would I think he told us, he showed us pretty clearly how he's going to be greeted and treated. I think he's going to be greeted and treated positively. I
Absolutely.
think, I mean, in 6
There's a
Super
pregame
Bowls,
show you want to see.
guys.
Right? You want to see him coming out and practice on the field and see what happens.
Well, of course he's going to be cheered. If he's not cheered, look, I mean, all right, it's Boston, not Philadelphia. Okay. So he'll probably get treated decently. Okay. I mean, if a Buccaneers quarterback won 6 Super Bowls and then the team decided he should move on, you're going to like the guy. You're going to have warm and fuzzies about that guy.
He's a statistical outlier. I mean, if you step back and you don't look at the name and just say you've got a quarterback at 42 years old, and you would have, from a business standpoint, if I was a Patriots fan, I would have been okay with that. I wouldn't have been okay with getting rid of Tom Brady. That's an emotional thing. But from a football standpoint, the guy's 42 years. There's nobody else in his 40s that has had even the remote type of impact that Tom Brady has had. He's a statistical outlier. He makes him look foolish, but if you look at the history of the NFL, they made the right decision. It just didn't work out. And Tom Brady's he's off the charts. He's off on his own, way above everybody else. Yeah. He's unbelievable.
Whatever that voodoo witchcrafty stuff, whatever that stuff Giselle's doing with the, I don't know what she's got all the candles in the altar and the whole weird, whatever the heck it is that she's doing. It's working.
It's chicken breast and vegetables. Repeat day after day after day.
Yeah.
The thing is, I didn't realize when he was with the Pats until he came on our team. It's not just about the stats.
Oh,
But
no,
what a
not
difference
at
he
all.
makes on the team. The people around him, I just never
I
realized
didn't
that.
either.
I didn't know it.
He
And
changed even
changes
all the
everybody
way
around
to
him.
the organizational people, like marketing and
Yes.
everything became excellent when Tom Brady signed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just that, you know what else I didn't realize about him? And I don't think any of us did, because I think the reins were put on him, is what a funny guy. I mean, he's funny. He's got a personality that I never knew he had. I had no clue. And by the way, Winifred, age is just a number.
But it's an
buddy,
ever-increasing number.
Let me tell you, what'd you say?
It's an ever-increasing number.
Yes, and I can tell you, yeah, it's a number that reflects when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, yeah, 55.
I love that one insurance commercial where they do the jump rope and gets to the end, and the one girl goes, "Oh, everything hurts."
Yes. Oh man, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Holy cow. But Mark, what are your thoughts about I mean, when you look at this game, what are you thinking about this game? I mean, what's going through your head about this game?
Well, I think it as a fan of football and not just our Buccaneers, if that makes sense. This is exciting for all of NFL. I mean, I can imagine the viewership is going to be just out of sight crazy. So anyways, I happen to agree with John, not just because I'm a Buccaneer fan, but just because of the matchup that we're going to kick their butt, especially we're going to come out of there pissed off.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to get a lot of things fixed on our defense. I think we're even going to get some sacks. Can you imagine that? I think we may double our season statistics. But
which isn't going to be difficult.
Exactly.
I got a question.
Okay.
Okay. So you think we're going to do well, and I agree. I think this is going to be I do think this is going to be a bit. It's going to be a bit rough. I think it's not going to be a close game. If it is, ruh-roh. But I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think this is a game that just everything. Look, sometimes the stars align negatively, like last week when you looked at the Bucs and you just went, ugh. I mean, everybody dropping, everybody getting hurt, all the bad things happening, blah, blah, blah. Now we're at a point where I think this week things line up well for the Bucs. And I think that makes a big difference. It really does.
Yeah, we match up. A huge difference from last week. But again, I just think the whole excitement of the sun comes back home again, right? I just think it's just great football.
It's a great storyline, even if you don't like football. I mean,
exactly it. I mean, my wife, who loves Tom Brady for different reasons, maybe than I do, but that's okay. She may actually watch this game with me. That speaks volumes all on its own.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna have a lot of people watching this. So anyway, I am really looking forward to this game. I've been looking forward to early when I saw it on the calendar. And
everybody sort of circled this.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I think gets lost in all of this is that you have Rob Gronkowski coming home too. And it's like Tom Brady, Belichick. That's all you hear about. But Rob Gronkowski, he's coming home too.
And not only that, and listen, Dave, to your point, he got pissed off enough that he retired. Okay, he did not want to be there playing for that guy. Now he's got time to pay a little payback. I actually think Gronk probably has more of that dog in him than Brady does. I think Brady is professional, machine-like almost.
Well, he will never let you know what he's really thinking or feeling.
Right.
He learned that from Belichick.
Right.
I mean, Brady's come out and said 90% of the stuff I say, just don't even buy it. I mean, he admits to it. So I mean, he learned that from
he talked about
Belichick.
how good a player is. Inside, he's that they're going to try to avoid that player because of how good they are. He knows already. Yeah, that's the guy we're going after.
So, David, I got one for you. Do you think that Brady is going to be looking for Gronk more so than he normally would?
How can you look for him more than
Well, I think it comes back to Belichick is known for he looks at your offense and he wants to take away the thing you rely on the most. Right. And I don't know what that's going to be for him. I don't think there's so many you got 3 number 1 wide receivers, especially if Antonio Brown plays again. So who's he going to try to take out? I don't think it'll be Gronk, but that would leave Gronk open. And like against Atlanta, that seam was open all day. They were trying to play zone coverage, and he just would find the hole. So right. I think that's very likely is going to happen. He's probably going to try to take away one of the top wide receivers. Mike Evans is averaging 13.8 per catch, so I would think he would want to take that away and shorten the field. And if he does that, then it should open it up for Gronk, and I think he'd be very correct in thinking that.
But go ahead and take away one of the wide receivers. Pick one, please. I don't care which one. Take them away.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 3 that are so good. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I had to say I'm going to try to take away one of the wide receivers, I probably would say, well, take away Chris Godwin. I mean, that's probably the guy I would tell you to focus on if you're going to pick one. I don't know. I mean,
I would pick Evans, but
see, and by the way, Dave, what you didn't mention, and what is also a little bit of a thought, and it may only have been briefly, but AB was also in New England. And
it was so brief, it's hard to remember. But
they got rid of him.
Yes,
quickly.
He was.
They got rid of him quickly. They bailed on him quickly, and Tom Brady did not bail on him, and as a person. And don't be shocked if AB doesn't have a little extra in the tank for this week's game.
Excellent point.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. This is a revenge game. Okay?
It's like triple revenge.
Yeah, there's so many. See, I love great storylines like this. I was not aware of that either. No, we don't find out about AB until tomorrow, correct?
Well, AB posted tonight on Twitter, back to business. So, I mean, I think you can sort of do the math.
Okay. Well, he has to have two negative tests at least 24 hours apart.
Right. Well,
that has to happen.
Business, right? He posted back to business. I'm guessing that's happened, and now he's saying, "All right, I'm going to be back tomorrow." There's nothing official. Let's be clear about that. There's nothing official.
Okay.
I don't want to be like some of the idiots out there who, like I said, all day long have been saying, "Oh yeah, Richard Sherman was in the airport. Oh yeah, Richard Sherman was."
He was at Wawa. I was there.
Richard Sherman was. I mean, we've been hearing it all day long.
What's up? I got one of those, man. It's good.
These people, and then what do we find out? Officially, actually, reality. Richard Sherman is coming in tonight. So he hasn't even been in Tampa all day, but all day on Facebook, my entire Facebook feed has been all about Richard Sherman's in Tampa. Richard Sherman's in Tampa. He's in Tampa right now. Here's a picture of him at the airport. Here's a picture. Richard Sherman is here. Richard Sherman, he's not even here yet, guys. Okay. And it's, I mean, there are even folks with the blue check mark on Twitter that have posted that he is, it's all but a done deal. And, the people that I really respect on Twitter, the Greg Allmans, the Tom Pelisseros, the Adam Schefters, none of them are saying a word right now. So my advice, look, the people who are going to really get the word out, the people who are really going to have sources and really have information, I promise you it's those guys. I promise you it's not Buckman 75 on Facebook, that's not the one you want to go to for your info. All right. When these guys say, I've got sources, really? You've got sources, Buckman 75. Come on. All right. No, you don't. I don't know. These two guys, by the way, on the screen are friends of mine, and they will tell you that I have a weakness. My weakness is if somebody stands on a chair and thumps their chest, my nature is to want to kick it out from underneath them. Okay.
You're definitely a chair kicker.
That is my nature. Okay. I want to do that automatically. I want to just kick the chair out from underneath you. Come on down with the rest of us. Okay. Because we're all we're all pretty much the same. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. We're all pretty much the same. Okay. Look, I know this. Well, but maybe Tom Brady doesn't. I don't know. But the rest of us, look, you've got three guys on this team who want to win badly, whether they say it or admit it publicly or not. Okay. Tom Brady's dad, what he said, listen, even while Tom Brady made the comment, I want you to notice something in Tom Brady's response. And if I can pull it up quickly enough, I'll read it to you again. Tom Brady's father went on I forgot what show and said that he was that this was definitely a big game for Tom. Okay. And that, Tom had a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings about wanting to win this game and beat Belichick and blah, blah, blah. Well, Tom Brady today, this was his response on his new podcast. All right. And I'm going to point out something about this. I want you guys to listen. All right. I've actually prepared a statement that I want to say, and it's really all I have to say on the subject. Comments made by Thomas Edward Brady, a 77-year-old insurance company CEO who should know better at this point in his life, don't necessarily reflect the views or positions held by his son, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So, furthermore, should Tom Sr. continue to speak out on behalf of his son without the expressed written consent, Jr. reserves the right to eventually put him in a home against his will. That is all I have to say. Now, I want to point out something.
Christmas for the Brady family, it sounds like.
Nowhere in his official statement did he say Dad was wrong.
Never said it.
Never said that Dad's words weren't correct. Never said anything other than, hey, Dad, shh.
Yeah, not now.
Shh. Dad, shh. He basically, without denying it, kind of confirmed it. Really. I mean, he didn't deny it. He didn't deny what Dad said at all. He didn't address what Dad said at all. He said, really, this is all I have to say on the subject. Now, remember what Dave said earlier about basically 90% of what I say to the media is misdirection? I just read it to you, man. I just read it. It's a great example of it. Look, Tom Brady wants to win this game badly. Don't fool yourself. He's motivated hard. I guarantee you he's going to have that team lathered up. Rob Gronkowski wants to win this game hard. AB, I believe, wants to win this game hard. You've got three guys who want to kick some serious butt.
Well, and you got others, not just because it's another game, but because they've bought into the Brady factor. And I'm sure for Tom, we're going to give it everything. We're not going to let Tom down. Not just let the Bucs down. We're not going to let Tom down. It wouldn't surprise me. Everybody comes out at 110%.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. You can say what you want. This game is personal.
It's personal.
Right.
They're not going to be it publicly personal, aside Tom Brady Sr. apparently. But everybody else is not. They're not going to make it personal in the public, but in
whether
the media. But it's personal. Not,
it is absolutely personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I have another guest coming on that I'm going to take. You guys can wait in the lobby if you want. You can do whatever
We'll
you
see
would
you
like.
guys.
All right, you're
Love
out of
your
here, Mark.
shows. Good job, David. Good job, Rick. Keep it up. Keep up.
Have
the
a
good
great
work.
night,
Thank
Mark.
you. Thanks for
All
being
right,
here,
see you
Mark.
guys. Thank you.
All right, Dave, you want to hang on for a sec?
Oh, I can hang on.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me swap you guys here. There we go, Pat.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Now,
it.
what we're gonna do, we always say we bring in sort of we'll call them frenemies. That's what we're doing right now. I want to introduce you all to Pat Lane. He's the host of the Pat's Nation podcast. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Is there anywhere else? I see there at plain_Pat. That is your Twitter.
Yeah, Plane_Pats. Yep.
Lane. Okay. Any other place they can find you?
PatsPulpit.com is where I write, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Awesome. So I got some questions.
Yes.
I always ask.
Fire away.
Okay. I always ask these questions.
Okay.
Number one, are the Bucs a team that you hate?
No, I hate certain players on the team, but I don't hate the team as a whole. I do think there's a lot of guys on the team that I like and respect, and so I don't necessarily hate them. No.
Okay, so they're not a hateable team. We're just kind of a
Yeah. I mean, the Bucs. Like, the Bucs have sucked historically for quite a long time.
We're
so they're
aware.
like,
We are very aware.
I'm sure you are. Yes, and so
We're still below 40% in wins. That's why I'm rooting
sure.
for 12 this year. We get over 40.
well, listen, Brian Kelly. I mean, the execution was bad. Oh, that's actually no pun intended. But the execution was bad. But the quote is one of the best quotes of all time by Rich
John
McKay.
McKay.
John McKay. That's it.
Yeah.
Rich McKay was his son, right?
Yeah.
John McKay, one of the best quotes of all time. And obviously, famously with the Bucs, was that the winless season, the 0-14 season?
Yes, it was. Thanks for the reminder.
So, but
Appreciate it.
But listen, you do have 2 championships under your belt, 2 Super Bowls under your belt, which is more than quite a few teams can say. So,
We've never lost a Super Bowl.
look at that. See, 2-0.
We're the only team to have won a Super Bowl in our home stadium.
That's very true. That is very true. Yep.
Even to play in one in your home stadium. Let me
That's
ask you
right.
this.
Yep.
Let me ask you also, what do you think the greeting is going to be like for Brady?
It should be 100% cheers and 0% boos. That's what it should be. It's not going to be that because some people are dumb. So you're going to have like some. I mean, listen. Friggin' Adam Vinatieri got booed when he came back. Adam Vinatieri got booed when he came back.
Did he really?
How is that even possible that you would boo Adam Vinatieri, for Christ's sake? But people did it. The same thing is going to happen here where, you look at it and just say, oh, yeah, we're going to boo Tom Brady. For some unknown, why you would ever do that, I don't know. The guy gave you 20 years of his life, brought you to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 with you. I mean, it's completely insane to think about that. Not only that, but it's my opinion that it was Belichick's decision to move on from Brady, not Brady's decision to move on from Belichick. And so when you take that into account as well, there is zero reason. And even if he had left on his own, even if he had decided to leave on his own, he can do that. He can decide to do that. He gave you 20 years of his life, and and you consistently won over and over and over again. If he decides to leave, he decides to leave. He should not get booed at all. He's going to get booed a little bit, but he should not get booed at all.
Wouldn't you also at some point feel like, wouldn't you at some point feel like, I'm not going to boo Tom Brady because I know what happens when you boo Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it like
that's part of it too? I mean, listen, I've said this before, and I'm not shy about it. I booed him off the field his last game. I booed the Patriots off the field their last game. They played like crap. They deserved it. I felt like it's your right as a fan to boo. When the team sucks, they suck, and you boo them. And so the last time I saw Tom Brady on the football field, I booed him. And they deserved it, right? And people, were cheering them off because it might be Brady's last game.
Weren't you?
That's it. I'm booing the performance, not the player. Of course.
His last pass, a pick 6, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if it was the final pass, but it was definitely. If it wasn't the last one, it was one of the last ones.
It was because as a Bucs fan and watching Jameis do it so many times,
it was very familiar.
It was something I'm somewhat attuned to. And yes, that was his last.
The crazy part about it is that the final 2 games of his Patriots career, he threw pick sixes to former Patriots defensive backs, one to Eric Rowe and then one to Logan Ryan. So, it's just frustrating.
No,
That's
Very
destiny for him to become a Buck
Yeah.
for doing that.
I know, right?
That
Yeah, I
fit
know.
right in.
Now,
Man,
let me
yeah.
ask you, as this game comes, as it comes up, we've been sitting here talking about the fact that to us, in my mind, there are 3 Bucs who are very motivated.
Yep.
You've got not just Brady, you got Gronk, and you've got AB even that all have a certain motivation, and a little extra, we'll call it, this week.
Yep.
But make no mistake, Bill Belichick has a little extra motivation this week as well. So let me ask you this: what do you see coming out of this game? If you had to prognosticate, if I said, "Hey, let's bet, you and me bet something fun, something stupid, whatever."
Yeah.
What do you see?
How many points you giving me? That's what I want to know. How many points you give me?
To the Patriots.
Listen. I think for me personally, I think that everyone kind of expects now the money. What's interesting is that the spread right now is 5.5, which is less than I expected it to be. I expected it to be somewhere around 9 or 10.
Sure.
I know the Bucs lost last week, but still, like where the Patriots are 1-2 and haven't really looked good yet.
Right.
They've looked good against the Jets, but like it's the Jets, so like that doesn't really count, So
yeah.
So it's like, okay, they haven't really looked good. Tampa's the defending Super Bowl champion. We know what they can do. They put up a bunch of points. I thought the spread would be a little bit higher, but either way, I think that 99% of the people that are going to pick this game are going to pick the Bucs to win this game. I think that the Patriots are going to play better than people expect. I think they're going to look better than people expect. I think Mac Jones is going to play pretty well. I think the defense overall is going to play decent. Do I think they're going to win? No, I don't. Because it's Brady. Because Brady figures a way out to win, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to, and I've been saying this for a month now since Mac got named the starter, is like how fitting would it be for the Patriots to go down with 4 minutes left to go in the game, drive down the field and score a touchdown to take the lead, only to have Brady to get the ball back and just absolutely murder us by driving down it and winning the game, as he's done so many times for us. It's a new feeling. Do it against us. Yeah,
it's a new feeling for us here.
Yeah, when
there's like a minute and something left, and Brady comes out on the field, and there's just this odd. Oh, okay, we got this.
Yep.
I mean, it's. I promise you, we've never felt that. And the one thing we never knew, now, I will tell you this. I'm going to tell you this straight up. Okay, for years, the Patriots, you guys were hateable when it talks. When you talk about those teams that are hateable.
Yep.
And it taking on, I think, more the personality of Belichick, because when you look at Brady now, I had no idea this guy is as funny as he is and has the personality that he does. I had no clue.
Right. By the way, Belichick does too. But the thing is, he doesn't show that to media. The thing is about the Patriots, and this is why the Patriots are hateable, because they win. That's why, because they're hateable because they won for so long. They beat every team so consistently, so often. Any team that wins like that is hateable because it's like, well, yeah, they make up cheating allegations against them because, well, they must be cheating because otherwise, why can't we win even at all? And they're winning all the time, right? And so there's always those things. And of course, the more you're on the big stage, the more your things get personified and the more things come out. But like Belichick, people say, oh, Belichick's this and Belichick's that. Did anybody watch the NFL Top 100? Like, was he not super personable and like funny and interesting and entertaining during that?
Why doesn't he show that more?
Because he doesn't want to, because he feels like, well, you know what? Honestly, I think he feels like he doesn't want to give anything to the media. He wants to make it all about the players. So like he's going to do and say as little as he possibly can.
But he keeps the players from doing that. Look at Brady. Brady, everything was buttoned up.
You know what, though? But he doesn't, though. He doesn't. Look at Gronk when he was here. Look at Edelman when he was here. Brady's got TB12 that does the whole thing. Like he doesn't really do that. Now, he does that when you're talking about the game. When talking about the game, everything's buttoned up. When they talk about personal life and they talk about other different things and things they're passionate about, the amount that the McCourties have done for charity and the amount that they've talked about, and guys on his team have been very outspoken about, social justice and all those things. And he's never stood in the way of that stuff. It's all been on the field. And Belichick's the same way. If you ask him a question, I mean, he gave a 15-minute answer about why they carry a long snapper on the 53-man roster and don't just train another guy to do it. Right. He goes into these special teams and, history of the game. He'll go on for 15 minutes about that. He loves talking about that stuff, but he doesn't want to talk about the game and what's going on because he doesn't want to give anything away. Right. And that's just kind of the way he is. Right.
Well,
and so
let me ask you this. Do you think Tom Brady is the same? Do you think he comes across and presents himself the same now that he did in New England?
I mean, it's pretty close. It's a little bit more. He does a little bit more of the national ads than he did before. But like he had some of the ads. I remember the Dick's Sporting Goods ad where the guy was like, "Hey, look at this guy with the Boston accent," right? And he's like, "I'm not from Boston. I'm from California." And he's like, "Oh, look at that Boston accent." So he had, he did some things. I mean, he hosted SNL when he was at the Patriots. So like, he did enough about it. But I just, for me personally,
the first person that I have talked to who said that Brady is not a different kind of guy, right?
He's a little bit different, but he's not as different as he was. The thing is that if you were paying attention to him as closely as I was, yeah, he's a little bit different, but he's mostly the same guy. I feel like
he acknowledged I found my voice here in Tampa. He acknowledged that. I mean, he's a jokester. He's always messing around, and his Instagram is hilarious.
Well, but he's been doing that for years now, right? And also, you ever heard the Matt Castle prank story? You ever heard the Matt Castle prank story?
No.
So him and Matt Castle, and Matt Light was like, Matt Light was the worst. The first year, he took a picture with baby goats. He was like, at first, 2002, he took a picture with like baby goats or whatever, and they were at practice, and all of the offensive linemen had taped them to their back. So when he went up to the line of scrimmage and they all got down, that it was all the things. But Matt Castle and him went back and forth and this and that, and Castle did like the packing peanuts in his car, did a bunch of things. Well, Castle comes back from practice one day, and there's 3 tires in front of Castle's locker. So he goes out. Castle's car is on blocks. All 4 tires are gone. 3 of them are in front of their locker, and the 4th one's missing. And it was just like, I mean, the pranks that they would do back and forth. And this is early when Castle was there. So this is early, early Brady. He's been doing this stuff forever, but it's been kind of behind closed doors, right? And now he's a little bit more open. And I feel like he's able, maybe Belichick allows him to do a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's able to do that a little bit more down in Tampa, and he feels more free down in Tampa than he did in New England. But he's been this way for as long as I can remember. And selling his TB12 and the pliability and all that other stuff. He's been doing that for quite a while. So
he's been something, and I will tell you, I've learned respect for the guy that I didn't have. And a lot of people are like, well, that's just because he's playing for your team. No, because if you ask me how much I respected the last quarterback for our team, you might get a different answer. So it's not a matter of, I don't respect the guy just because he's quarterbacking my team.
Right.
I respect the guy for the leadership that he's shown and the way the entire organization has changed. So I will tell you, and I think Dave will join me on behalf of Bucs fans and say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
For AB, for
Thank
Tom
you
Brady,
so much.
and for Ron. We are all incredibly appreciative. And you guys now have Mac Jones.
Yep.
By choice. And thank you.
Pat, I have one question because I wasn't expecting this in the offseason. The Patriots set a record with 163 million in free agent signings. What is your take and what's your perspective? Because you're there on the front lines with the Patriots.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for the Patriots wise, it was kind of a perfect storm of a few different things. Number one, it was not a ton of competition out there on the market because, the cap didn't really go up by much. The Patriots had a ridiculous amount of cap space. They had, I think going into the offseason, they had 2 guys signed past 2022. So they had like literally 2 guys on the books for 2023. So they had nobody. They had no one on the roster, right? So it was kind of like they could go out and spend the money, and it was a depressed market because teams like the Saints and teams like that were scrambling to get rid of guys and couldn't afford to pay anyone because They were already over the salary cap. So for the Patriots, they figured, okay, we have this devoid of talent, right? We definitely have a talent void. And Belichick was honest about it. And people, of course, were pissed that Belichick was honest about it. But it's like Belichick was honest about it that, he said, well, yeah, it was a rebuilding year for us. It was kind of a reset year for us last year because we had no money. We had no cap money and we were just stuck, right? And so, and he admits that, right? And people were like, well, he's just using an excuse. I was like, well, that's the truth. I mean, what do you want him to say, right? So, and they went into this offseason. They said, okay, we need a few different things. We need the tight end spot, which we haven't had since Gronk left, right? We almost got Jared Cook, and Gronk kind of took his time, deciding whether he was going to play here or not. And by the time he had retired, Cook was already in New Orleans. So, and would Jared Cook have saved the tight end spot? No, probably not. But, at least they would have had someone there. So, they really hadn't addressed that. So they go out and they get those two guys. Their defensive playmakers, I don't think were up to snuff where they wanted them to be. So they went out and got Matthew Judon and Godshaw, and they brought back Kyle Van Noy, and and they went out and got a bunch of guys, Jalen Mills, and then they said, okay, our wide receivers suck, so they went out and got Aguilar and Bourne. So I think it was kind of a bunch of things happening at once, where they were able to spend money because they had money, but also there wasn't crazy competition for any of those guys either, because there just weren't enough teams that really wanted those guys, right? And so I think it was kind of a combination of both. I was surprised as anyone about it, that it was like they went out and signed all these guys, and I'm like, oh my God, they spent that much money. I mean, I remember we did like an instant reaction podcast, did a live instant reaction podcast, and we're talking about, this guy, and this guy, and then they signed someone else. By the time we got off, 2 minutes after we got off, they had signed someone else. And we're like, what the hell is going on?
That's what last year was like for the Buccaneers.
Right? Yeah.
It was like, oh, wow, we got Brady. Wait, Gronk is coming?
Right.
And then, every time we turned around, there was something new. It was like, what?
Yeah. No, and that's the same thing, right? And Fournette eventually comes, and AB, you guys get AB. So it's one of those things for me that, like, I like it. I think the other thing too is that it's not short-sighted by them. Like, they sign these guys to 3 or 4 year deals because they want to grow. And I think that's why you saw Cam Newton get cut, because it was like, all right, like, let's just restart here, right? And yes, are we going to struggle with a rookie quarterback? Maybe a little bit, but it's worth it because we have these guys for the long haul. That's what we're doing. Like, we're building for the future. We're not in a holding pattern anymore. We're building for the future. And so, that's where we're at now.
Ask you a question. Actually, Stephen Glasgow on Facebook just asked a very good question. Where did all the effing money go? He doesn't pay for players. How were you guys out of cap space the year before when you're just, how'd that happen?
Well, so the fact that, the idea that Belichick doesn't pay players is one of those things that people say because, Brady always took pay cuts, because Belichick always moved on from guys a year early instead of a year too late. But in actuality, Stephon Gilmore was getting paid quite a bit of money. Tom Brady was $22 million of dead cap on the books, right? So a guy that wasn't even there was getting $22 million in cap space. And you had Hightower, who has a decent salary. McCourty has a pretty big contract. So there, Joe Tooney was on a franchise, had franchise, so he was making, $14 million, $13 million last year. So they were right up against the cap because, and the other part of it too is that, yes, that's true. They don't pay the top of the market guys, but what they do is they pay the middle of the market guys, but they have 1 million of those guys. Right. So those, so it's not like they don't have the bottom, and they have a little bit, they have a few of those bottom of the market guys, but for the most part, their roster is built with 20 of those middle market guys.
Right.
And those contracts are the ones that add up.
So they don't have any holes or tremendous weaknesses, but they don't have necessarily top level talent across the board, but they've got it balanced.
Well,
exactly.
Let me ask you this. What if I said project your record for the year?
Yep.
Give me a ballpark.
So I had said 11-6 before the year started. I'm not very confident in that right now. I thought, you had to win these early games, these winnable games. It was a winnable game against Miami. You should have won that game.
Well, it's just you and me.
Fumble on the 9.
Just tell me, how many do you think now?
So I'd say now, probably, honestly, 9-8, 10-7. I still think they're pretty close to that level. I still think they have some winnable games coming in the future. They play the Jets again, which is nice. But they definitely have some more winnable games that I think they should win.
Okay.
And so, we'll see. They play the AFC South this year, which is really nice
What
for them.
were they last year? What was the record last year?
7-9 last year.
7-9.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And-
if it was
and-
7-9 last year, and you're saying maybe 9-8 this year.
Yep, 9-8, 10-7 this year because
$163 million spent.
Divided by 3 wins.
which is okay. But that's okay. But again, you're not, the thing is that you're building for the future here, right? You're not just saying, and you got a rookie quarterback too, right? So we're not expecting to win the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. No one's ever done it before, right?
Right.
And so you have to temper the expectations. Now, I think if Mac plays well this year, then next year is the year you're looking at saying, all right, now is where we make our big jump, right? And so I think 9-8, 10-7, because for a rookie quarterback, you're kind of capped, right? You're kind of at that point where it's like
That'd be a good year for a rookie quarterback.
And that's what I mean. So it's one of those things where, to me, and by the way, I think Bill Belichick didn't get nearly the credit he should have gotten for the coaching job that he did last year. That roster is one of the worst rosters I've ever seen. The quarterback performance by Cam is one of the worst passing you will ever see from an NFL level quarterback.
Why are there still so many fans clamoring saying we should have Cam?
Because of the name. Because the name Cam Newton. Because people respect Cam and love Cam.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. He's had a hell of a career. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. Like he did things that other people simply cannot do.
Yeah.
Now he just can't throw the football, right?
You
and
just
so
hit my pet peeve is people who just get all over names, and that's why when everybody's talking Richard Sherman, I'm like, simmer down. This is not the Richard Sherman you remember.
Correct. Yes.
So
Josh Norman's just like that too, right? And San Fran, they're like, oh, Josh Norman got hurt. And it's like he hasn't been able to cover for 5 years.
Same thing. Actually, it's funny you said that, because earlier in the show I said the exact same thing about Josh Gordon. Is everybody's thinking Josh Gordon? When's the last time Josh Gordon did anything? I mean,
2013, 8 years ago. Like, come on, dude.
And when I say did anything, I don't mean.
Right. Yes. Yes. We get you. Yeah.
I was surprised when I saw Cam Newton's only 32. I thought he was older.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how he has dropped from a MVP type quarterback, an MVP, to what he experienced last year. And he didn't have talent around him, but still he's had a pretty hard fall pretty fast.
That's a guy that I think still has another life left in him. I think getting in the right situation, if Cam got with the right situation, I think he may have a little more left. But he's got to get with the right situation. And I think what happened, and I get it, is he thought, okay, wait a minute, I can go play with Belichick in New England. That's an automatic playoff,
Right.
I mean,
right.
I think that was the thinking. So.
Well, I think the thing for Cam, and I'll relate it to make a baseball analogy, but it's like a pitcher that has a great fastball that loses his fastball, right? And now he's got to figure out a way to pitch without a great fastball. And Cam is that way too, because Cam was a great runner, but he was never a great pocket passer. He was a fine pocket passer, but he was never a great pocket passer. Right. Never had a great feel for the pocket, never was great at reading defenses and going through his progressions. And he needs to get better at that, because he's no longer an elite running quarterback. Now, he had 12 rushing touchdowns last year, but a lot of those are red zone rushing touchdowns. Right. He's not taking off running for 30 yards. He's just not doing that right on a consistent basis.
You got to watch him for a year, that you would be able to see him much more thoroughly and closely, and all the nuances and everything.
Right.
The last thing I want to ask you is this.
Sure.
Is Cam the head case that he seemed like he was? I mean, or does it seem like maybe there's what we'll call it a renaissance up here with him, where he's now more of a team guy? You remember as well as I do when he let that fumble go in the Super Bowl, and that's in the Super Bowl. I mean, what was he like there?
I'll tell you what, and my dad and I have talked about this, all the time, or pretty consistently here, is that, like, I thought when he came, he was going to be a great player and just an absolute douche, right? And the guy came in, and it was exactly the opposite. An absolute 100% team guy. They played like garbage last year. He played like garbage last year. He had no talent around him, and not once, not ever, did he ever make an excuse? Did he ever blame anyone? He threw himself in front of that bus every single game, every single press conference,
That's
never
new.
made an excuse, never did anything. And he was super, like, to me, I just felt like he was a really professional player that a lot of people liked a lot. And so for me, I just felt like, I was extremely happy with that aspect of it. Of course,
Maybe
the
a
play on
little
the
of
field, not so
Belichick
much.
rubbed
But
off. Maybe that was the right place for him at the
yeah,
time.
and I don't
Yeah.
know. And again, people that covered him or people that followed him closely in Carolina had the same thing to say about him. So maybe he just was that way all the time. But like, it really surprised me how much I liked him as a guy when he came here. Right?
Well, I
Don't like
live
him as
in
a player,
Charlotte.
but as a
I can
guy,
tell you, I live in Charlotte.
Yeah. Okay.
Not as many people have the
Well, there you go.
opinion
All right.
you're thinking.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming here, Pat. Pat,
Yeah, of
one
course.
more time, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah. So on Twitter, I'm at plane_Pats. And then online, patspulpit.com. We just recorded our podcast, but it'll come out on Friday morning, the Patriot Nation podcast. So we actually had a former Bucs report guy, Josh Allen, on the show this week talking
JCA.
Bucs Pats. So
Awesome. He's actually, Joshua will be here next Tuesday.
Oh,
on
nice.
this show. So
Nice.
yeah, awesome.
There you go.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for
Great
having me. I
insight.
appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Pat.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to meet you guys.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Take care.
All right, that was awesome. Very, very great guests tonight. Lots of insight, and that's why we do this, guys. That is why we do this. It's a great way to sort of peek behind the curtain of the other team, so we know who we're facing. We know what to look for in this week's game instead of just, rehashing the same information all week. You get a little insight into the team and what the fans are thinking and what's it like sitting in their shoes. Great saying that I heard one time: where you stand depends on where you sit. And I think that's a great saying, is how you feel about it. You notice nothing but respect for Brady and Gronk and company. It seems like so far the only person who said that the Bucs are hateable was Sheriff Joe Baggs from the Rams. All three other teams that we've spoken to have all said, no, not really. They're not really hateable. And even Joe Baggs said kind of alluded to the fact that we're playing you this week. I kind of hate you right now, but you're the Bucs. I mean, so I get it. I get it, guys. I want to thank you for going on this journey. Dave, thanks for being here tonight, my friend.
Glad to.
We will see you on Sunday night.
Sunday night late.
Yeah, actually, and if you want to come around tomorrow, got a little surprise show coming, so everybody keep your eyes and ears open. All right. Have a good night, Dave.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Guys, there is a little bit of a surprise coming. You want to be around tomorrow night right here on Bucs Report. We've got some little bit of new a little bit of surprise coming. Just you guys will see. And I hope you will be here because it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. It's going to be a little crazy, but it's going to be informative and all kinds of things. And it's very different than this show or any other show that I've been a part of. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. Thanks a lot for coming tonight. There's a lot to digest. There's a lot for us to wrap our minds around. Hold on. I just got informed. Yep. Okay. Richard Sherman is now at the Wing House by the stadium. So anyway, you guys have a great one. Have a good night. And the same way there's only one way to close out this thing. Same way I close it every time. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.